If you've ever wondered what are the perfect macros that help you lose weight, well, then I'm going to show you in today's video how to calculate the macros specifically for yourself. So then you know exactly the protein, carbs, fats you need and the calories to hit so that you lose the weight and see the results and get the body that you actually want. So we're going to go ahead and dive into it. Welcome to the Daily Effort Podcast. I hope you are having an awesome day. Doing things a little bit different today. Typically, I have my mic set up. Today, I'm just doing the video inside of my kitchen, so audio might not be as great, which I apologize about. I'll make sure to get some different mics to make this a little bit better for those of you who are only listening to the audio and everything, and especially for those of you who are watching on YouTube as well. But whole thing we're diving into today is talking about macros and how do you actually calculate not only your calories, which I went over in 2 videos prior to this, how do you calculate calories to help you lose weight, but also I'll be going into how do you calculate your protein, carbs, and fats. So first thing that we're going to do is calculate calories. So what I talked about previously in the 2 videos ago, in 2 episodes ago, I talked about really the way you can calculate calories for a deficit. And I'm going to briefly go over that very, very quickly. And I got my phone with me just to make sure that I don't have to do math and stuff in my head because I can't do that too well. But if you're going to be calculating calories to lose weight, well, remember, if you have less than 60 pounds to lose, you're going to take 10 to 12 calories times your current body weight. So let's say I'm 210 pounds and want to go down to 200 pounds, less than 60 pounds to lose. So I'll take 200 times, let's just say 11. That's 2,310 calories. Now, the reason why there is a range is because the 12 is the top end of the calorie range, the calorie deficit range. The 10 is the bottom range that you really want to be at. And you don't necessarily want to dip below that. There are some cases that you would, but you really don't want to go below that because then it just gets really difficult. Now, if you have more than 60 pounds to lose, you'll calculate it differently. So what I just went over, that's if you have less than 60 pounds to lose, that's how you'll calculate your overall calories. If you have more than 60 pounds to lose, what you will do is, let's say, maybe you're 300 pounds, you want to get down to 200. Well, more than 60 pounds, so you'll take 10 to 12 calories times your goal body weight. So take the 200 and times it by, let's say, just 11, which comes out to be 2,200 calories. So that's a quick refresher of how you can calculate your calories if you're wanting to be in a deficit and actually lose weight. Now, what we're going to do is figure out, well, how do you calculate your overall macros? The first thing you want to start with, if you're going to be calculating your macros, is figuring out your protein. Your protein's the easiest thing. And I'm just going to go off of a base recommendation that isn't going to be perfectly spot on. No, it is not, but it gets you really close. How I always set protein, it's always based on 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight. Meaning, if I want to get down to 200 pounds, well, guess what? My protein number is going to be 200 grams of protein. If I wanted to get down to 180, guess what? My protein number is 180 grams. Very, very simple. Now, what we have to do, though, is figure out, well, how can we get the rest of the macros? How can we get the carbs and fats? So I'm going to go through a quick example, walk through how you would figure all of this out. Let's say I'll just go off of myself, for example. Let's say that I want to lose 10 pounds. So 210 pounds, go down to 200. So I'll figure out my overall calories first. That's what I'll do. So 210 pounds times, let's say 11. So that's 2,310 calories. Well, now I'm going to figure out my protein. 200 grams, because that's the goal body weight that I want. And remember, we set protein based on 1 gram of 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight. So now what I'll have to do is figure out, well, how many out of all my calories, of the 2,310, how much of that is made up of protein? because I am gonna have to subtract that out to then shake out the carbs and fats basically. So what I'll do here, and this is what I know, that for 1 gram of protein, that is equal to 4 calories. So 1 gram of protein will have 4 calories associated to it. So knowing that, I'll take the 200 grams of protein. I'm going to times it by 4 because, again, 1 gram of protein has 4 calories associated to it. So 200 times 4, that comes out to 800 calories. So now I'm going to take the 800 calories that's coming from protein minus it from my overall calories, the 2,310. So now I'm left with 1,510 calories. That 1,510 calories, the rest of that is just carbs and fats. In my opinion, if you didn't want to get this nitty gritty with it, you don't have to. If you figure out your protein and then just hit your overall calories, you'll be fine. But if you want to figure out your carbs and fats, you can do this. If you don't want to make it this complicated, that is fine. If you have your overall calories and your protein, you have protein, overall calories, you'll be good. Don't worry about it. You'll move in the right direction and lose the weight that you want. But let's say we are going to calculate the carbs and fats. Well, we have to figure out from here, do we like to take in more carbs or more fats? And when I'm deciding this, and when I've asked people this in the past, usually what I'll ask them is like, do you take in more breads or pastas or just different things like that? If they're like, oh yes, I love that, then okay, well, we're going to go a little bit more carb heavy. But if someone's saying they like peanut butter, avocado, different fatty foods, then we're going to lean more towards taking in more fats than carbs. Sometimes people like a mixture of both. Like if someone's telling me, well, I like a mixture of all of it, and I also go out to eat. Usually I'll just mix it. But let's say that since I do CrossFit, and this is true, I do like to take in more carbs. So we're going to go carb heavy. Now, what we do from here, since I know I want to go carb heavy, I'm just going to set my fats at the bare minimum. And the minimum grams of fat for men is 50 grams. The minimum for women is 40. Now, if you're needing the minimum amount of carbs, just so you know, well, that's right around 100 grams roughly for women, around 125 for men. So if you need to note that down, so then if you say, well, I want to take more fats, it'll be helpful to know those carbohydrate minimums. Now we have to figure out how many calories is coming from fat. So I'm going to take 50 grams and times it by 9, because for 1 gram of fat, there is 9 calories associated to it. So there's 450 calories coming from fat. So I'm going to take this 450, and if y'all remember, we had 800 calories coming from protein. We minus that from the 2,310 calories, which left over 1,510. So I'm going to minus this 450 that's coming from fat from that 1,510, which now leaves us with 1,060. So this 1,060 is this is just carbohydrates at this point. Now, it's super easy to figure out the carbohydrates from here. Well, all I'm going to do, because I know there are 4 calories to 1 gram of a carbohydrate, so I'm going to take this 1,060 divided by 4. So it comes out to be 265 grams. So my macros are, if I'm going to walk through this, my calories are at 2,310, my protein's at 200 grams, then my carbohydrates are at 265 grams, and then my fat is at 50. Now, if I'm going and just starting to track my macros and work towards this fat loss goal, and I see that maybe I'm starting to take in more fats, I can easily flip-flop things, take some carbs, take it over to fats. But personally for myself, I don't really get caught up in that, because I'm not going to be very, very specific. For those of you who maybe if someone is going to do a bodybuilding competition or something like that, okay, great. Then you'll need to get specific. That is an important thing. But for me, who's just want to work out to stay healthy and sometimes compete in CrossFit comps and things like that, I really don't get concerned about that much. I'm just going to focus on hitting my protein and my overall calories to keep it simple, to make sure I still move in the direction that I want and lose the weight that I want. Now, if I am doing CrossFit, it is important that I take in more carbohydrates, because that means I'll perform better. Something to remember. But this is a very simple thing. If you're wanting to lose the weight that you want, it's simple to calculate your calories that you need, your macros that you need. And like I've said so many times before, this has worked for hundreds, thousands of people that I've seen lose weight. I've seen people that calculate it this way, and health people calculate it this way. They've lost 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, over 100 pounds, over 200 pounds, really, when it comes to this. And even for me, the most like I've ever lost is 20 pounds, because I went bulked up and then cut down. So this works. It does work. But the big thing is, you got to go back to the previous video that I posted, the previous episode, if you're listening on Spotify or the Apple Podcast platform. And you have to make sure you listen to how do you measure and track your food. And I'm going to be rolling out more episodes and specifically more videos on YouTube that show specifically how to do this, just real world examples, because at the end of the day, y'all shouldn't have to pay for this stuff. You shouldn't have to go pay someone to tell you the calories that you need to eat or anything like that. I want to be able to give this away for free so that you can reach the goals that you want. So if you do have questions on this, drop them in the comments below. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, because then you can catch all the other videos that I'm going to be rolling out, and I'll be able to set you up for success. I know there was, I believe his name was Jeff. He commented on one of my shorts when it came to just how to calculate overall calories in a deficit. I know he's on a journey of working to lose over 100 pounds. So Jeff, hopefully you're still whacking away at that. Continue to work hard. If you need help with it, please let me know. But if any of you are watching need help, drop them in the comments below. We can connect, obviously, somehow, whether it's through email or most of the time I'm fine giving out my cell phone number. I can text you back and forth or something if y'all need any help at all. But other than that, have a great day, make it a good week, and God bless.